I'm coming to you guys with questions to ask your surgeon before surgery. I know sometimes this process can be very overwhelming. Maybe you're just in the do I qualify stage, or maybe you're just like, maybe I'll look into it, and maybe some of you guys are actually doing your insurance requirements and you just want to make sure that you thoroughly asked all the questions that you needed to ask your surgeon. So if you are in any of these phases, then stay tuned for my video, and I hope this is very helpful to you guys. Some of the questions, and I have them written down right in front of me, that you should ask your surgeon, or that I personally ask my surgeon, are written here, and I'm just going to kind of go down the list and touch on each one. But if any of you have questions, have had the surgery, whether it be VSG or RNY or even lap band, or the revision from lap band to gastric sleeve or bypass, comment below and let us know some of the questions that you asked, because maybe you had a different experience from me or whatever. The more the merrier. So yeah. So my first question is, what is your experience? So we can't just automatically assume that your surgeon has all the experience in the world with weight loss surgery. Their experience may be limited. Maybe they do have a lot of experience, but go into this as an interview. You just want to make sure that your surgeon is the most qualified person to do your surgery. I went to a place that only does, at Barracks Clinics, I went to a place that only does weight loss surgery. So I was not at all concerned that my surgeon did not qualify to do my surgery at all. So I think that's important to look into. Next up, what resources do you offer before and after surgery? So you want to make sure that your surgeon is not just going to get you into surgery, complete it, and then that's it. You want to make sure that they offer you appointments, phone calls, 24-hour phone calls, that they offer you classes, maybe support groups and things like that, whether it be in person or online. I know some people travel out of state, so online works better for them. You want to be able to reach your surgeon if anything does go wrong, God forbid. You just double check and make sure that your surgeon offers these services. And if he doesn't, maybe that's not the surgeon for you. I don't know. It just depends on who you are and what you're looking for. Another question, what procedure would you recommend for me? So going into surgery, I went in thinking, I want gastric sleeve, but I asked my surgeon what he thought that I should get, and he said gastric bypass. My primary care doctor said gastric bypass, and so I thought, okay, well, gastric bypass it is. So I researched and researched and researched. Part of my insurance requirements was that I complete 6 months of the requirements, meeting with a nutritionist and all of that. And so I did it, but for about 3 or 4 of those months, I was solely focused on gastric bypass surgery. So one day I saw someone on Instagram, or maybe it was YouTube, who had gastric sleeve, and I looked more into it, and after doing more research, I decided that the gastric sleeve would be better for me as opposed to gastric bypass. So I think it's important to make sure that you know what it is you want for yourself, but I don't know everything, and neither do you. So it's important to take in consideration what your doctor thinks or has to say and their reasons behind that. Next up, do you perform laparoscopic, and if so, how many incisions? Laparoscopic surgery is when they go in using, it's minimally invasive, and they just make very small incisions on your stomach to complete the surgery. I believe there is also a machine involved, but yeah. So if your surgeon does do a laparoscopic, you want to ask how many incisions you'll receive. I did have 6, but I do know some people who've had 3, someone who's had about 4. So I think it just depends on the type of style your surgeon has. Or another question I received was, what can I do before surgery to help lower my risk of complications? So that's a very important question, guys. Double check, ask your surgeon this, because it depends on your history, your health history. You may have diabetes and you're coming to the table. You may have PCOS and you're coming to the table. Or a number of other things. Maybe you are like me and you don't have any other health impairments other than being overweight. But it's important to ask your doctor, because they will have your health history, and just see what they think will be the best things to help lower your chances of having any complications from the surgery. But I would say one thing, and one of the most important things, is to follow the instructions of your doctor. Don't go home thinking, oh, I got this, or such and such said I could do this. No, you need to follow the directions of your doctor, your surgeon, whoever, and play it safe. It's better to be safe than sorry before you wind up back in the hospital because you thought that you could do it your way instead of the way that you probably should have been doing it. Okay, so next I would say another question is, how can I prepare myself emotionally for the surgery? Baby, when I say you do need to be prepared emotionally for the surgery, that's an understatement. I thought I was mentally prepared for it, and to a degree I was, but I think it takes until you actually go through the surgery to properly prepare yourself for it. You kind of have to deal with, different things as you experience them, because there's no way that I would have been able to relate to some of the things I've experienced now being post-op that when I was pre-op. So I think that we just need to kind of take a step back and talk to our doctors. Maybe they'll refer you to a psychologist. Maybe they'll refer you to a support group. Maybe you'll get a buddy that will be having surgery the same day, and you guys can kind of talk to each other. Maybe your surgeon has had the surgery or something. I don't know. But that's an important question to ask your doctor, because your mental health is something that's beyond important and will contribute overall to the success of your surgery. If you're not mentally ready, then your surgery will more than likely be unsuccessful, and you'll regain all the weight back. How should my lifestyle change after surgery? Oh my God, it should change completely for the most part. Your surgeon or doctor will tell you, you can't eat what you used to eat. Like, everything that you used to do previously, you need to do the opposite, because that's what landed most of us in the situation that we are in now, getting weight loss surgery. So ask your surgeon. Maybe he can give you a plan. Maybe you guys can come up with a plan together or something, and decide why it's important to change your lifestyle in ways in which you can do it. I'm not saying like it needs to be done as of tomorrow, because that's like really hard and almost just impossible. But take baby steps, create a plan, and get there one day at a time. But it's important to plan that before you have your surgery, because it's a knack. It's just important to be prepared for things like that ahead of time, and have a plan in place in case things don't go according to plan. Will surgery affect my ability to get pregnant? This is one of the questions I receive probably the most often, and this was one I also asked my surgeon as well. I don't have any children yet, but I would like to have them, and if this surgery was going to prevent me from having a child, there's no way I would have done it ever, like at all, point blank and period. But I know this also applies to people who suffer from PCOS. And I know that that can be a tricky thing. So if you do have PCOS and you're looking into weight loss surgery, this is a very important question to ask your surgeon. I do know quite a few people who have had children or gotten pregnant like 2-3 months after having surgery, so it is possible to have children, but everybody's body is different. Even if you don't have PCOS, everybody's body is different. So check with your surgeon. Maybe other things may be a barrier to you, maybe they won't, but I don't want to sit here and tell you yes, you can have children, and you know, some years down the line or months or whatever the case may be, you go, you know, get to trying it and it's not happening. So I just want you to prepare yourself for every option or possibility that, you know, that you may experience. Will my insurance cover my surgery, and what are the requirements? I don't know. And your surgeon probably doesn't know either, but it's important to ask. I know that my surgeon had a insurance office there, so when it came to insurance questions and things like that, I just went there and asked them, or I called them up on the phone and talked to them about it. They were very good at answering any questions that I may have had, so I really appreciated that. But before you just delve into, you know, surgery and say, oh yeah, I'm about to have this, you need to double check and make sure that you first qualify, or secondly, that your surgeon or your insurance will cover your surgery. That is heartbreaking to find out that your insurance will not cover your surgery once you're invested. So check into that, because paying out of pocket can be very expensive. And I know a lot of people do go to Tijuana, Mexico to have their surgery if they have to pay out of pocket. But I know that's not an option for everyone. So definitely check into that before you get invested into this surgery. And the requirements, you can simply Google. I had Blue Cross Blue Shield. I live here in Michigan. So what I did was I Googled Blue Cross Blue Shield of Michigan requirements for weight loss surgery. And it came right up. So then I called my insurance and I looked into my plan to see if it covered it, and they did. So then I went and met with the surgeon and we just went from there. They double checked as well to make sure that insurance covered the surgery. So yeah, it was all just a quick process after that. I did my 6 months and voila. So next up, another question is, how much hair loss will I experience? You can talk to your surgeon. I talked to my nutritionist, and she told me that all I can really do is take biotin. She broke down the process of why we do lose hair after surgery, and basically, a long story short, she explained to me that it's a reaction to our bodies going into shock from having a serious major surgery, even though it's very minimally invasive. So my camera cut off, so I'm going to try to pick back up where I left off. I believe I was talking about how much hair loss will I experience. So there is absolutely no way for your doctor to know how much hair loss you'll experience. My surgeon did tell me to start taking biotin, or my nutritionist told me to start taking biotin about 2 months before I actually had surgery. That way it would be in my system and it would help with hair loss. I can't say that it's aided in it, but I am not currently experiencing hair loss. I do get my protein, but I do not get the proper water intake. So I think truthfully it just depends on the person. Not everyone experiences hair loss. So long story short, she explained to me that we receive hair loss because our bodies go into shock. So that's why it takes a minute for us to start experiencing hair loss. Normally about, 2 or 3 months post-op, we start to experience hair loss. Yeah, so around, I would say 3 months, I thought that, you know, maybe I was experiencing more shedding than I usually do. My hair does not shed very much, very minimally. So when I did see that, I was panicked. But again, I did see get a treatment. I did a protein treatment at home, but I also went and saw a hairstylist that specializes in healthy natural hair, and she did a treatment on my hair as well. It was not a protein treatment, but I will list below what the treatment was and who the stylist was if you're in the Detroit or Metro Detroit area. So yeah, that's definitely an important question to ask your surgeon. And another question is, how long will I be in the hospital? So usually most people are only in the hospital for about a day or two after surgery. I was only in the hospital for 1 day after surgery. So I had surgery on the 28th. I went home on the 29th. I was up and walking around a few hours after surgery, and they will push you to do that because it helps aid in your weight loss. It helps aid in your recovery. So do listen to your doctors, the nurses, the nutritionists, and get up and move. Even though it may be a little painful, you may have the gas pain, your incisions are probably going to be sore. You have to get up and move and do as they say. But yeah, check with your surgeon and see what the typical amount of time is that their patients spend in the hospital, because that was typical for my surgeon. But I did have a surgery pal who had surgery a few days before I did, and when I got to the hospital to have my surgery, she was actually still there. So she had been in the hospital for about 4 days because she had complications. She couldn't keep any of the food down or anything, and that's not to say that'll be the case for you, because it wasn't for me, but there are always exceptions. And the very last question would be, do I have to complete the liquid diet? This is a question that everyone asks me, and I think it's because everyone is a little frightened that they won't be able to complete it. But I can't say everyone has to complete the liquid diet, but it's very important that you do if your surgeon requires you to do so. It helps to shrink the liver, which is, I believe, in front of or in the way of, somehow in the path of where your surgeon needs to operate when they're reducing the size of your stomach. So if you want your surgery to go like problem free and all of that good stuff, then I say for sure you need to do the liquid diet. And it doesn't just mean that you can only have water. The liquid diet consists of protein drinks, chicken broth, all of that good stuff. It's a liquid. So I could have Kool-Aid and a bunch of other stuff. I don't really drink Kool-Aid, but I was just happy to know that it was an option. So yeah, those are all the questions that I was asked, or I either came up with because I asked my own surgeon. But yeah, if you have any more questions, I hope this was helpful to you guys. Good luck for those who are about to have surgery and are watching this video for a, last minute pick me up or a help. And to those who are considering, please feel free to ask me questions, guys. I don't bite. So yeah, this is Nate Forever Fab, and I thank you for watching my video. Make sure you guys subscribe and read the description box with all the information below. Bye, guys.